kings of the game, yeah, the chosen few. From the shadows we rise with the rarest find. Collect them, respect them, we're one of a kind. Toyleet, ready in the streets, elite with the feats in this collectible feast. Toyleet, never discreet, when the heart of the beat, where our play makes me. Check our stacks, our collection supreme. Limited editions, every collector's dream. We're the myths, we're the legends, with every drop. Taking over the block, we never stop. In the alleys where the echoes play. Toyleet's the name, hear what we say. Rising, thriving, always thriving. In our realm, we're always dropping. Toyleet, bring the street, the live Toyleet. Setting the pace. With a snap of the case and a click of the lock. Toyleet's on top and we're ready to rock. Collecting more than just toys, we're out. We're up. We're up. Toyleet, never discreet, when the heart of the beat, where our play makes me. We're the tree, we're the Toyleet, what's the throne? Cause in this zone, we never admit defeat. Come for the thrill, stay for the chase. Toyleet's in the place, set in the pace.
What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? As you can all see, I have finally taken over. I took over the Hella Dope show, and now I have the Hella Dope Toyleet show because I fired Mr. Wonderful because he's just, he's worthless.
He got promoted to customer.
He got promoted to customer. That's right.
Yeah.
I did not realize how long that song actually went on for until just now.
Same. I thought it was done, and I was like, okay, cool. And then,
I knew it was like
right back up.
Like a couple minutes because I, listened to it many times, but usually I'm like highlighting the chat, not even thinking about what's going on, and sitting back there just waiting for it. I was like, whoa.
I was rocking out. It was fun.
Yeah, it's a great song. But
Yeah.
honestly, Mr. Wonderful is traveling for his day job this week. So this show, I have our wonderful guest, part of the Toyleet, half of the ownership of the helladopetoys.com, and one of my pseudo bosses. That's why I said pseudo. They only throw the weight around when they got to report me to HR for something stupid that I say, so it's okay. Anyway, love you, Travis. But this show is going to be a little different because Travis was traveling all week because he got to go do fun things with the family, like see the Money in the Bank show and all that fun stuff. And then he had to turn around and travel for work right away. So, and I've been working, so I have not had time to do anything either. So we don't have any slides tonight. So Ted and I are going to have our excellent adventure. Ed and Ted's excellent adventure.
Love it.
Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes.
Yeah. Party on.
You did see Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, right?
I know Bill and Ted. I know
All
Bill
right,
and
just
Ted.
making sure.
I'm not that young.
Well, if I ask Punk, he probably hasn't seen it.
Yeah. When does Lawrence have time to watch movies, man? He's a big shot.
Raiders of the Lost Ark came out in 1983. Lawrence has not seen Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oof.
That would have put him at like 8 years old, I believe, in 83, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, like 20 or something. 28, yeah.
Because I was 10 when Raiders of the Lost Ark came out, and I went and saw it in the theaters.
Yeah.
With my brother for his birthday, and the back windshield. Remember the cars used to have those little plugs that worked, the little defroggers in the back windows?
Oh, yeah,
But they had the little plugs. My brother was screwing around with it because, back then we didn't wear seatbelts. We just sat in the back of the station wagon because that was the cool thing to do.
Absolutely.
And he farted with the plug when my mom had it on because his birthday's in March to defrog the rear window, and the windshield shattered all over us. It was amazing. Shorted all the electrical lines that went through the windshield out and just shattered it. Luckily, it was still the safety glass, so it just kind of, No sharp edges or nothing. We
I was
didn't
gonna
get
say, was it
impaled.
just raining all over you?
Yeah, it was
and you're
just
just like,
glass.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I was like doing like pirouettes and stuff, you know, singing happy birthday because it was just a celebration. But
See, now
yeah,
Bobby Vella comes in with that stone cold entrance music with the glass shattering. I
yeah,
think maybe you should steal that.
I should, right?
Yeah, that should be your entrance. Tell
Yeah.
tell Travis, he'll love that.
Yeah.
He'll love that.
I had to call Bobby out because he was talking in his panel about how he hasn't seen anybody flock an action figure in a while.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Didn't you?
And I
You
was like, "You
showed
son
that
of
to
a
him at
bitch."
PowerCon,
I
right?
gave him that head at PowerCon.
Oh man,
Yeah, I called him out. I sent him a message. I was like, "Listen, I'm happy that you're trying to do flock, but you know,
damn. I didn't even think about that. I forgot all about that. Yeah, I'd be fired up about it too.
yeah, that's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right." I told him it's cool. If he needs any tips or pointers or wants to talk about it, let me know.
If he needs any help.
That's right. I can tell you all that you need to know about flocking. Been doing it for a long time. Anyway, thanks for joining me, Ted.
Yeah, happy to be
Tonight,
here.
Ted and I are going to discuss making videos and creating ideas and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So we'll
I'm
pop
excited
to the
about that.
yeah, we'll pop to the chat real quick and see who's shaking bacon. First off, we have the other half of the sexy trio duo,
Mhm.
the Black Knight. If you're not first, you're last. That's right. And then we have this Ted Darklaw guy. Let's go.
I like him.
And Mr. Wonderful. Oh shit, I'm last. Always, Travis. You're always last.
We miss you, Travis.
That's
I should
right.
be on my couch right now, sitting
Yeah.
back with a nice cold Saratoga, watching Travis do this. But here I am, slaving away.
Yeah. Just like that Sunday night when Travis and I had to pick up for you two slackers over at Hella Dope.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Man, my memory sucks, doesn't it? I don't remember nothing. You're lucky I even showed up today. I was like, what day is it?
Yeah. I didn't know what day it was either today. It's like, man, last week being the 4th of July and Thursday completely threw my whole timeline off. I kept thinking that was Saturday, Friday was Sunday all day. And I'm like, damn, it's not Sunday, it's Friday.
Yeah.
David, what's happening? Thanks for stopping in. Roll Keeper is here. What's happening, Roll Keeper? And this guy, Random Diorama, who we were just saying all sorts of wonderful, nasty things. I mean, wonderful, good things about behind the curtain. Go pre-order your Mirage Turtle single box of Hella Dope. Hell yeah, Matthew. Thank you.
Yes. Get that.
Travis got reported to HR again. Yes, he did.
Isn't that his wife?
Yes.
Oh man. I bet that makes for some interesting conversations at home.
And here's Punk. Dude doesn't pay you, but makes you put him on at your show. Well, I knew that you were busy because, you know, you stream like every night for 4 or 5 hours this past week. So I didn't figure you'd want to come on more. So
Yeah,
I
Lawrence.
had to get a substitute, and Ted was the substitute. What's up, Eldor? Glad to see you. Been a long time. And the lovely Bethany, aka Mrs. Black Knight. No government names allowed. Stone Cold has muscle on him. Hey. Yes, this is a good point. He did flock a whole vehicle.
It's right here.
The Mothmobile.
Ooh, fuzzy. Hold on. Can we hear that?
Wait, let's bring it up a lot big so we can see it.
So fuzzy.
Yeah.
Front, back. Look, the wheels don't wobble, but they do move. Wow.
Look at my bitch and ride, guys. It's all
There's
covered in
that.
moth.
Mossmobile.
Yeah. Oh, let me pop you down so
Yeah,
you're
it's
not
like,
staring at everybody here.
Now I know why it's Chad hates us.
Yeah, it's
Get
when you're
me
showing
on the
something
full
and you got
screen.
something in your face, it's not too bad. But like when you're just talking, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's awkward. That's why I don't
Finally,
do shows
yeah.
alone.
Well, look at this, Travis showing you some love. An upgrade. Finally, finally an episode worth watching.
We'll see. Time will tell.
Yes, and Oz, the man, is here. If you're not first, you're moody. That's right. Let's see. It looks like a bunch of we got a couple more popping in here. Joe G, what's in the house? How you doing, Joe? And a bunch more talking. All right. So Ted, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'd say what you sipping on, but I already know because we're sipping on the same thing. Good old black coffee.
Indeed. Mine's not black, but yeah, I splashed a little something.
A little sweetener in there.
Just a little bit.
Black Knight says his boy says hi too.
Hello. Hello,
And
boys.
the Nomad says, "What up, you suckers?" That's the
Yeah.
person that we're supposed to get the soundbite from Aaron for. So when he
Yeah.
shows up,
Wrong
we
guy.
can get a sound clip from him. So
Yeah, I just do this.
yeah,
That's Aaron's bit.
yeah. He's got
push the button.
he's got the big vocal cords for that, right? And he can just boom it.
Yeah.
His neighbors probably hear that. They probably start doing this every
Yeah.
Sunday night about 9:15.
There's an old man that walks his dog in front of Aaron's house every night around 9:15, and he hears it. And him
Yeah.
and the dog, just
Yeah.
putting him up.
Dog gets up on hind legs. They're
Mhm.
doing that funny jump that dogs do. Yeah.
I've seen it. That's a true story.
Yeah. We got video of it. It's amazing. But it's top secret. If we showed you, we'd have to kill you.
Yeah, it doesn't look like
Sorry.
AI video at all.
No, not at all. It came from a satellite, so it's got to be real because it's got the government initials and the timestamp on it. It's got to be real.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So, Ted, you been doing hella dope work?
I've been doing hella dope work all day, listing things, not necessarily on the site, but in our secret third party ness.
Yes.
I'm listing some of my stuff to move. Last week on the 3POA, I was kind of talking about it. I had a closet full right in front of me, and I said, well, it's time to clean it out. And boy, that was a lot harder than I thought because I have a separate pile over here. This whole room's a fucking mess now. But I have a separate pile over here of, do I really want to sell this? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then I'm like, well, this is even worth anything. I should just keep it. It's just easier to keep it than fucking throw it up for pennies.
Yeah. Sometimes it is.
Yeah, and then
You
we
guys-
get some. Good.
You got to plan on taking some of that stuff with you to the show? Another $5 bin or whatever?
I don't know.
Because you got your show coming up in a month, right?
Yeah, it's the end of August.
Oh, it's the end of August?
Yeah, like 26th, 25th.
Oh.
I don't know. It's in my calendar. This is why I have a calendar. I don't fucking know.
Calendars are good.
I don't know anything until the day it happens. And then, I made some video edits. We threw some reels up from last Sunday's show.
Yeah.
And, that's been my day. Super exciting.
That's good. So, we're going to talk about creating some fun toy stories or videos or whatever. So, let's start with, do your ideas just like randomly pop into your head, or is it something that happens from seeing something or kind of a combination?
I look at them all like gifts. So if like Aaron's like, oh, hey, when you make some reels or something, and I'm sitting down here and I'm just like, oh, I gotta make a reel. I gotta do something funny, blah, blah, blah. Let's write down ideas and brainstorm. That never works.
No.
What usually works is I might be having a conversation with somebody, or I might just be having random thoughts myself, and then something will come in there. I think everything always starts with what if,
Yeah.
and then it just kind of leads to that. And the rule is if it makes me laugh, then it's a winner. Not every idea makes it out of the old noggin, but yeah, I can't force them. They just
No,
come
it's hard.
lightning striking.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. I was having a conversation with my wife last night, and she helped me make a new Moss Man commercial idea for Lawrence. I just have to go record it. And I was like, I don't have time today to fucking record it. And she goes, you should. And I didn't. Sorry, Lawrence.
It's coming, Lawrence. Just keep your
I'm
pants.
getting there. I am getting things done. But yeah, you can't force it. If you force
No.
it, it's not sincere. It has
Yeah.
to just spontaneously pop in there. Has to make you laugh. And then a lot of times I have to sleep on it. And usually I can kind of see if like, oh, what if we added this? Or what if we did this? Or what if we took a new take on it? Sometimes that stuff gets added in, but for the most part, the original idea is there and then it just slowly gets fleshed out.
Well, if people haven't done them yet, doing those, even the 10, 15-second stop motions takes time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing the videos like you did the Mossmans take time, right? It's not just editing, it's, recording, and you can't just get one recording because it takes several times to get the, if you choke on your word or you stumble or you pull a Joe Biden and, read the teleprompter or something, it's not good.
Can I share something about the behind the scenes of the Mossman videos? So,
go for it. Share all you want.
The Adventures of Skeletor episodes usually take about 4 to 6 hours. That's with editing. The commercials that are like 30 seconds to 2 minutes, that I can usually do in an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I don't write any scripts for it. So Jay-Z, the rapper, he used to brag that he never wrote down his lyrics. Like if he came up with a rhyme, he would just say it back to himself over and over again and then kind of add to it and then start over and say it all back to himself again. I do the same thing in my head for scripting. So any Mossman stuff, it's either completely improv on the spot because I know where I want the direction to go.
Yeah.
And with Mossman, you just can't script him, man. You got to just let him flow. That's where a lot of the second episode of The Adventures of Skeletor came from. The barbecue Pringle chips, man. That was just me riffing.
Where did the Grumble Duffs come in from?
So the real story about where the Grumble Duffs came from is my wife and I went to Shake Shack, and I am incredibly lactose intolerant, but I'm a sucker for a good chocolate shake. And I was just like, you know what? I got to have it. And I'm like, this is a tasty shake. And it wrecked me inside. And so this is probably going to gross some people out. When you got an angry tummy, call it the Grumpies,
Yep.
And the precursor to the Grumpies is now the Grumble Duffs, because I was sitting there just joking around with my wife because she knew the shake had turned on me.
Yep.
And I just started talking like Mossman. I was like, oh, it's got me a case of the Grumble Duffs right now. I'll turn into the Grumpies real quick. And that's just where that came from, and just on the fly, based off of how I was feeling at that moment in my tummy.
That is awesome. Now everybody knows the origin of Grumble Duffs. That's amazing, because every time they watch that commercial on Punk's stream, they laugh about the Grumble Duffs and wonder where that came from. So now everybody knows.
Grumble Duffs is like bubble gut, I guess. Like you feel the storm brewing, but it's not quite there yet.
So when I was a kid, I've been drinking coffee my whole life, and I had this uncle. He lived up in Buffalo, but he worked at the steel plant up in Buffalo, which is one of the biggest industries in Buffalo for the longest time, right? And he worked at one of the steel plants, and my dad would go up there to visit him, once a month maybe, and we'd always go up for Sunday morning and have breakfast. And we always went to these. He loved the diner food, diner food. You know how it's grease, coffee, all that stuff, right? And I'll never forget the one day we're sitting there talking, and we're all having coffee. It was me, my dad, and my uncle Tom, and my brother. And he goes, "Let me tell you something about coffee, kids, boys, whatever he called us." Like, "What's up?" And he's like, "This is how you tell if a diner has good coffee or bad coffee." It's like, okay. He goes, "It's premium coffee if when you're done eating, you have to race home before you have to have your whatever, take a shit," whatever he said, right? We're like, "Well, that doesn't seem right. It seems like that'd be the bad coffee." He goes, "No, because the bad coffee will just kill you and just sit there and churn. The good coffee just flushes everything right out." I was like, okay. I was probably like 6, right?
Yeah.
And I remember this vividly, this conversation that my uncle had about the coffee and how you judge whether a diner has good coffee or not.
Well, that's how I have to start every single morning. We do the coffee, so it takes care of the BMs, so then I can
Yep.
go to work. I don't understand these people who just roll out of bed and then just go about their day, and then
No.
it's like 2:30 in the afternoon, and they're like, "Uh-oh, like you're out in
Man.
public, friend.
Yep.
Can't be doing that."
I get
It's
up every morning
inappropriate.
at least an hour early, so I have time to get the coffee in, let it process,
Yeah.
do my business, shower, then I'm off to work.
Yeah, how can you run around all day with all that inside you, you know?
Well, that's it, right? Plus, it's like, I know this is a gross thing to say, but there's nothing that feels really much worse than being freshly showered than having to take a shit a couple minutes later.
I agree. I
So
agree.
I'd rather just do that than I shave. It's the shit shower shave thing, just like when I was in the military. You shit shower shave,
Mhm.
but I do a shit shave shower because it's easier to clean all the shit off when you're in the shower. So
Yeah. It helps. Does help.
Brad and I used to know a guy who called that the evil heap of bubbling.
So Grumble Duffs.
And Punk says thanks for the story. And
I don't know if he means that.
I don't know either.
I
Bjorn's
don't know.
here.
I don't know if he's saying it in his nice tone or his sarcastic Larry tone.
Yeah. Schmebulok Bjorn. So I met Bjorn at Joe Fest. Really cool guy. Great guy to talk to. Him and I wandered around a little bit and checked out some G.I. Joe stuff. So really cool guy. Glad I finally got to meet him.
Yeah, Aaron and I picked him up at the airport with Wilhelm. We were
Yeah.
there. Yep. That was a true
Yeah.
thing.
I know. I saw those pictures.
Yeah, they were good
There's
pictures.
photographic evidence that it had to be true, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Bjorn said he doesn't drink coffee, but he's probably even worse because he drinks Dr. Pepper, which I like Dr. Pepper, but I can't imagine having that in my stomach in the morning.
Yeah, and it won't make you poop either.
No. All right. So you do your videos kind of on the spot and you do a lot of improvisation, which is kind of how I do it too. It's, I kind of have a general overarching idea. Even with my photo stories, like all the Living with Ken things, I just kind of, it wasn't planned. It was just like, okay, trying to do some more living with Ken things. And as the figures fell into place, they just fell into place. And that's what happens. And same with the stop motions and things like that. I think it's easier to do it that way than, if you have an overarching idea and kind of know the directions, it's so much easier to just improv it as opposed to plan every step out. Because I don't know if you saw it, but have you watched that? Punk can help me out. I don't remember his name, but he made a G.I. Joe classified movie, Bazooka, Eastbound and Down. It just got put out on YouTube. But anyway, Mike the Hunter, I think is his name.
Oh, Mike the Hunter. Yeah.
He did those classified movies. So I just watched Bazooka between last night after Punk was done. I watched a little bit of it. Then I watched the rest of it this morning with my coffee. And, like that dude must have had a whole script written out or, because it was just 2 hours long. It's really like watching an actual movie. It was done well. I really, really enjoyed it. So, it's like, I don't think I could do something that long and carry on that whole story because even my stories when I'm working kind of change in the middle. So
yeah. No, I know the feeling with that, and I think the same thing applies to like doing YouTube videos, right? So if I were to sit here and record a YouTube video now, what I've always done in the past was kind of script it out, and they just become real dry and monotone. It takes all the personality out of it. It's like wringing out a sponge,
Yep.
when you really need that sponge to be nice and moist, and then you're like, I'm just gonna wring it out a little bit. But yeah, improving and knowing here's point A, here's point B. Let's just fill in the rest. I think that's definitely a better direction to go. But you're right, 2-hour movie.
Yeah,
Don't
you ain't getting
that's
through a
lot
2-hour
of
movie
improv.
without a script for sure.
Yeah.
But, it's like I took public speaking when I was in college because we had to take public speaking for business and all that stuff, and it's like the professor told us we had to pick a main topic in the beginning of the semester, and all of our projects each week, one was like debate, one was, presentation, one was whatever, right? Everyone had to be on that topic and, whatever the thing was, right? So I chose veterans healthcare because it was something I was working on dealing with at the time, whatever. And I remember it came time for our presentation project, and she wanted us all to use a PowerPoint presentation with our presentations, right? And I was like, you know, I'm like, everybody I've ever seen that has a PowerPoint just sits there and reads word for word off their PowerPoint slide. I said, unless they're showing graphs or something, which a lot of us aren't going to have graphs for our topics because it just weren't that involved. It wasn't like we were showing monthly numbers or growth or anything like that, economics or anything, right? So I was like, do I need to have a full presentation or can I just do an intro slide and an outro slide? She's like, well, if you can carry the 20 minutes without a presentation, go for it, right? So I did, and I went first, and then like everybody else after me was just like on their topic. So this is what, like the sentence here that, Brad and I was saying, it'd be like, improv is great, but won't work well for conveying a lot of specific information, especially if it's about something that isn't directly about you or something you are making, and it's just like, put a bullet in my head.
Yeah.
And that's how it sounds when you're doing videos that aren't, mostly improv, right? Like I said, I get it with a 2-hour movie, you got to have a script, you got to have an idea. And he didn't shoot that all in one day. It's not like a 30-second video that you're trying to do, 1-minute video that you're trying to do in a day, right? It's like,
yeah. Well, the chat in here is saying, the different, and what Radnom was saying in that comment there is like, if it's something specific, educational, or a lot of information, then yeah, absolutely. Like, I guess if I was doing the history of Mossman,
yes,
like the figure, like a real,
you got to have at least the bullet points that you want to hit, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
But I don't think I would write out every little thing.
I've always done bullet points for, those kind of things, instructions or whatever, right? It's like, here's the highlights. This is what you got to do. And then you got to have those. But
that's what I respect about Dan Larson over at Toy Galaxy or Secret Galaxy now, because he's got that teleprompter.
Yeah.
But he's so good at making it sound natural.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's written that way or he's reading it and improvising things, or
he's probably got bullet points, and he's probably got bullet points that he has up there, but he probably rehearses it because he's got the time, right?
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds nice, and that's what I always believe my scripts would sound like, and they don't.
Yeah, it's really hard to read off a script and have it come out fluid without lots of practice, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also have that interaction, right? Like if you sent Radnom part of the script, like I know Radnom read part of the commercial, he reads the Castle Grayskull intro thing, right? But like he's not doing any of the interactions with the characters, right? He's not like Mossman and talking to Beastman, you know what I mean? It's like
he did Stinkor in episode 2. He was Stinkor.
Oh, was he Stinkor too?
Yeah.
Well, that fit in well, because usually it's like when you don't talk, when you're like, why actors actually read around the table and have a hard time when they're working with a green screen character. That's why they put an actor in there, because without having that interaction, humans can't actually do that. So if you when they do like cartoons, you usually have all the actors like in booths listening and talking together. It's like just human nature.
Yeah, for the situation I put Radnom in, he did very well, because I literally I said, here's like 3 sentences of what's happening. Here's what I would like to have said. And that was like it.
Yeah.
And one of them, I was like, by the way, there's going to be a really big fart.
Yeah. I talk to Radnom quite a bit, and we spend many hours together on Friday nights. And he's always talking about how he'd like to script this and script that and plan this and plan that. And I just don't think he gives himself enough credit for his randomness, because like he excels at just being random. There's nothing wrong with that.
I found it interesting how when he was talking with us about his time at what was it, DFW that he was at, where he felt so quiet and awkward, because you don't necessarily get that from him on his stream, right? He's fairly comfortable and confident, and he can carry on a conversation with people while cutting and gluing and all that crazy stuff. And for the most part, he doesn't really miss a beat. Like, he'll take some quiet time, he's like, I gotta focus on this.
Yeah.
You know, do that. He'll be quiet for a minute, but then he'll pop right back into the chat, and he
Yep.
can just carry on a flow and share a story. So I don't know. I think he's better than what he thinks he is.
I agree 100%. Well, let's pop into the chat real quick again because we got a couple more people in here. What's up, Tony? And we got Wraith Mace. What's up, Ray? Thanks for coming by. Correct. Like Toy Connections video. He gives so much information in those. There's no way he's improving. No, Ken is very strict, done to a script. And like that G.I. Joe video that hasn't come out yet. It's coming out this Sunday. Me and Mr. Largo and I can't think of the other person's name from Toy Habits. The what's her name from Toy Habits?
Toy Sorceress?
Yes, Toy Sorceress. Thank you. We all did a G.I. Joe Adventure Team video with Ken. And he had us just, answer some questions and stuff like that. And then he cut that all up, put it in there. So a lot of the details was just, highlighted bullet points. This happened in 1969. And this is, yada, yada, yada. He's like, this is the easiest video I ever did. You guys were, giving me so much information. I didn't have to go research all this stuff and write all these things out. Because, when he does his like Real American Hero videos, it's, Hasbro did this in 1983. And, but his videos are great. But that's how he has to work it, right? He has to do the script. Aaron wants to know if you paid your electric bill.
My lights around me went out for like a millisecond, and I have my adapter here, and I was stretching my feet, and my toe hit the button and turned out my lights, and I was like, "What the hell?" They came back on. It was fine. It's fine. My electric bill is paid.
All right, so there you go, Aaron. His electric bill is paid. Matthew says he's got good voices if you ever need any.
I'll keep it in mind. The problem. And we can get back to the chat. I don't want to derail this. The problem that I have with having other people do voices, because I've gotten a lot of offers, is when I have a window of time to do stuff, I want to get it done right away. And I don't necessarily have 4 or 5 days to wait for something to come back to me. I'm like, we're doing this. We're doing it now. I'll just do the voices and it'll be done. I would love to have other contributors. I would just have to plan it out.
You'd have to plan it out.
Yeah.
If you get going on like that regular show, like you talked about, right, it'd be a lot easier because you could say, episode 5, I want to do this, and I'm going to have, Radnom and Matthew or Ed or, Punk or whoever do this voice, and these are the lines. Get it to me by, next Sunday. And then you have a couple weeks out, right, to make it happen. But you're not
once
there
I
yet,
get back
so.
in the flow, that's where we'll be. So
yeah. Radnom says he don't plan shit, but sometimes think it might be a good idea to do a bit more. And Brickster showed up. Brickster just got back from a lovely family vacation across the pond. Yes, Travis is traveling for work, so I brought in another member of the Toyleet that was available. So.
And I want to give a shout out to Brick because, man, that guy's thumbnails inspire me. I'm terrible at thumbnails, and then Brick is just, he's making everything look like a comic book all the time, and it goes well with what he's talking about, and I'm just like, God damn it, Brick. And then he's got the monitor in the background. And I'm like, I thought you were a fucking teacher. When the fuck did you learn all this graphic design shit?
Well, he used to do that.
His thumbnails are incredible, and it makes me try to step my game up every day. And every week I'm like, this isn't as good as what Brick would have done.
Travis and I did a pre-record show that went live on the 23rd when I was at Joe Fest, traveling home from Joe Fest, and Brick was going to be on vacation, so we did a couple of pre-records. And after the show, Travis and I went and started doing some of the work for our show. And we were just talking about Brick's got that cool comic book effect, and he's got all this stuff. It's like so well done. It's like, damn. And then he's got just that beautiful hair and sexy voice on top of it to just put it all together.
Brick actually inspired me for the Toy Collector magazine episode.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't know what the fuck to do. And then I think that was when Brick had just dropped, his thumbnail, and it was looking like a comic book and whatever. And I was like, what do I do with this? So I made the thumbnail look like the cover of the magazine. And that was and inspired by what Brick had been doing, and I was just like, perfect.
Yeah.
Let's run with that.
Ray says he did script one video, the Star Wars one, and that was the last one I did for scripts. Keep everything regulated with my job, so this is just fun for me. Yeah, exactly it. It's a lot of work. A lot of people, like Punk's always saying, that a lot of people don't really have any idea how much work goes in, even into a live show, let alone videos.
Yeah.
So he stopped going out except for work and doctors for years now. So he's working on being an introvert.
You gotta come out into the sunlight every now and then, friend.
And Punk says he'll do all the yelling voices for you.
I bet he will. I might have to work that in one day.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. People would know exactly who it is too. They'd be like, "Oh, that's Punk," and no one would even bat an eye at it. If you saw the beginning of his show last night when he was ranting, he got all done. His face was all red. I'm like, "Dude, take a breath. You're gonna blow a gasket." And he's like, afterwards, he's asking me, Matthew, well, was that okay? We're like, your audience just knows that's you. When it's time to rant, you tell it like it is, then you move on. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
So I had gone out with my wife last night, and we were out way later than what we should have been. And I had quite a few, and I was in his stream in the chat, just having a blast. And I don't know, like that, I just went out. My whole body turned off, and I went to sleep. And then I woke up, and it was 3:00 in the morning, and it's still Lawrence's stream, and I was so confused. I was like, he's really going long tonight.
Yeah.
And then I realized it had just gone to the previous week's episode, and it was just an endless loop.
I've been modding for Punk for quite a while. Matthew's been doing it far longer than I have, and he doesn't get very many trolls.
Mm-hmm.
So the one night, it's a Monday night, Matthew is out of town, so it's just me modding, and I worked all day, got up early, was exhausted, was sitting there, and it's going on like probably 11:45, and next thing I know, I was out. I woke up to, I think it was Fat Red Foo, old Fatred, left me a comment in my Instagram, dude, did you pass out or what? And it was like, 3:00 in the morning, some random YouTube videos playing. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But I didn't even remember it. I was just sitting there. Next thing I know, it was like 3:45 in the morning. I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, being old sucks ass. Yeah, I just turned off, just shut down.
So Brick says, I had to pause and catch up. Thanks for the shout out, Ted. I work hard on the visuals. I've been a homegrown artist and worked as a designer in a previous life, aka in his younger years.
Yeah, Brick's like fucking 84 years old. Too,
I know.
man.
He looks damn good, man. Fountain of youth.
Fucking wild.
You need to have Skeletor on steroids one day, and it's just Lawrence screaming. Yes.
I'll just take a clip from one of the lives and just throw that in there.
And you're welcome, Brick. I keep trying to get my hair cut like you, and it's pretty close. I had it looking good at Joe Fest, I'll tell you that. So I had the Brick going on at Joe Fest. It was working well. So back to the topic, now that we've rambled on, and this is a good part of the show because I like to ramble.
Yep.
So there's a couple projects that you're working on
that
you've briefly mentioned without going into detail. Which one are you trying to, besides the commercial for Lawrence? Because if you don't get a commercial out for Lawrence, the guy's never going to let it go. He's like having a pimple on your ass, As soon as he sees you, it's like, where's my commercial? Yeah. Ted, I could have another commercial. Not, hey, Ted, I'm so appreciative of the 2 commercials you gave me, all that hard work, blood, sweat, and tears that you gave me. No, I want more. It's like having another wife. I want more. Eddie, I want half.
It's like I'm shitting out commercials. That's what it feels like sometimes, because I know the community wants to be supportive, and they're like, oh, dang, I want a commercial too. And again, we have more time now, but yeah, they don't just happen.
No.
A lot of thought that goes into that. So what projects am I working on? I guess creatively.
If you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, no. So, I kind of, because everybody's up my ass now, because they're like, oh, you quit your job. You said you're going to have all this time to do shit.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't have said that.
Probably not. I mean, I do have time. Like the stuff I was able to do for Hella Dope in June, I'm very, very proud of. Like, I see a result. More will come from it, I'm sure. But I'm happy with the effort that
having more time for Hella Dope does not necessarily mean having more time for commercials or fun stuff or
I
enjoyable
consider
stuff.
I consider anything that I'm not doing that involves me sitting on the couch and not watching YouTube or being out with the wife hella dope work. So
Right.
if I'm doing something Mossman related, that's to help benefit the channel or make a commercial or grow. Because I mean that was the original idea behind the company format to begin with. Like
Right.
before I had Aaron on, it was supposed to be a mix of toys and media.
Yeah.
And boy, I got lost. So yeah, we worked on the site this week. I'm really focused on trying to upgrade the production value for our live stream. I see a lot of people doing a lot of cool stuff on their live streams, and I'm jealous. And our intro hasn't been updated since January 2023. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I can do in StreamYard that I haven't fiddled with. So this week I'm kind of working on that. We're learning After Effects. Part of running your own business or a YouTube channel means you got to pay the ignorance tax.
Yep.
And learn about all these nice little fancy programs you have to do cooler shit. And then hopefully next week we are back on board with Mossman. And you're right, commercial for Lawrence is step one. You went out of your way to make me that beautiful wig, so we got to do Dr. Quinn. And in the background, I do want to do Late Night with Mossman, but it's coming off as such an overwhelming project. I'm actually afraid I either won't be able to do it just because it would take so much, or it's just going to take a really long fucking time.
Have you thought about recording? Like your plan was to get people, right? Or were you going to do other action figures?
So how the actual production setup would work is I would pull somebody into StreamYard just like this, you and me.
Right.
And we would, depending on who the person is, like if it was Lawrence, we're picking on Lawrence tonight. Right. I would have Lawrence play up to his character more, the idea of what Lawrence is, as opposed to the real him, more of a Punk with Toys character, and just kind of do an interview that way and then chop it up. And so I would just take the block like what you're in, right, on the screen here. And then that would be the monitor for Mossman. And we would cut all of me out, and it would just be Mossman asking questions, which, like I said, requires a set, requires lighting, requires having some sort of plan. What kind of scenarios is Mossman you can get in with these conversations? And then you got to edit it all together. And I think the editing is the issue I'm going to have, which is why I'm educating myself.
Yes.
So if I can figure out how to do it right.
Because I was thinking, something to get started with anyway, right? Is you could easily do. You have to get the set, of course. That's number one, right? You got to build the set because that's just necessary.
I mean, I could fake it a little bit to start with, but
yeah, you still got to have a desk. You still got to have, a coffee cup and all that fun stuff for him or his beer stein that you already have. But you got to have a pseudo set anyway, somewhat of a set. But you could start with maybe doing like, say they're 5-10 minute long, right? How long are you planning on episodes? 5 minutes.
Probably going to shoot for like 10 to 15.
All right.
15 sounds reasonable.
Yeah. So 10 to 15. Because I was thinking like you could start doing 3 or 4 of them with other action figures, right? And just use a different voice and have Mossman start interviewing. And then you have 3 or 4 in the bank, and then you can start bringing in people, which will give you that extra. Because if you put one out every Saturday night at, say, 11 o'clock, right? Then you have 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks to get all the other stuff going while you already have some kind of practice also, right?
So the plan is to make a pilot, like have a test run with the real human, and because going around to people and trying to fucking pitch what this is like.
Yeah.
And it's like Space Ghost, but I need you to come in and do a really awkward interview with me.
Right.
Like it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
So instead of explaining it, I'm just saying, hey, look at this. Do you want to be a part of this? And then the conversation opens up from there. And then I would batch record all of them and then do it together and just kind of release it as a season.
Yeah.
So I can't be doing that week to week. I will not have time. I will not make the deadline. They all have to be together and they all have to roll out
Well,
together.
that's what I'm saying. If you recorded a bunch at a time, you could release them every Saturday at 11 o'clock because you can schedule those out, right?
Yeah, I would
But
schedule.
you want to definitely do batch recordings, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to do that on the fly, I would fail.
No. Yeah,
I would hate it.
You'd end up having a scheduling conflict where somebody, you know, got in a car accident, God forbid, or you know,
Yeah.
they got called into work or you know something like that, and that person wouldn't be able to show up or whatever, and it'd be difficult anyway. So if you're doing it on the fly,
Yes. So it's an idea I really, really want to do. It's certainly the one I'm most excited about right now. But like I said, it's just gonna take a minute.
yeah.
It's gonna be a minute.
But you know, you get out a third commercial, you got it on your YouTube channel, you got it playing on Lawrence's, you know,
Mhm.
get Dr. Quinn Medicine Moss Man or whatever the hell you're calling it out there. At least it's something, right? It's
Yeah.
something to keep driving, you know. And you got to
Yeah.
just keep throwing that shit out there. I mean, that's why I've been trying to do, you know, like some reels for Hella Dope at least once a week just to keep that, you know, floating out there. So, because people seem to like reels better than just pictures.
Yes.
So,
It's the scrolling mindset, but you really
Yep.
got to hook them right away,
Yep.
man. Like that's the hardest part. There's a whole psychology to fucking doing that
Oh, yeah.
shit, and I
Yep.
am not nailing it. Not nailing it at all. But that, I mean, I like having you come in and create stuff for us because, again, that, as I said before, that is the point of Hella Dope. It wasn't supposed to just be an online toy store. It was
Right.
supposed to
Yep.
be this conglomerate of things where there's entertainment and it's hip and fun, and then a toy store as well. Like,
yeah, it's a vibe. It's not
Yeah.
just a store.
so having you put up stuff, and then whenever I have time, I throw something up, like that helps. I just need more of that, you know?
Yeah. And like I said, it's tough, you know, especially when you have other things in life like jobs and family and things like that, right? It's like
Yeah.
takes
You get
takes
beat
time
down
and-
at work
yeah.
all day.
Yep. Then you get
Hate
tired
life.
and your inspiration just gets sucked out of you by some asshole boss that, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, I get
Exactly.
it, man. I get it.
Exactly.
But you know, the thing is I found is like when I come home from work or, you know, have a shitty day or whatever, right? I have a real hard time sometimes like getting going. So I force myself to, whether it's building a dio or, you know, taking pictures or doing video. It's like, well, once I get going, I feel great, you know, but it's that forcing myself to get up off the damn couch after I eat dinner, you know, and had a shit day at work or whatever to get going. But once I get going, I'm good. But it still takes a lot of effort to get to that point. Got to dig deep.
The hardest part I have with recording, aside from like actually making sure I have time, the time piece is like I could have an hour, and I'm like, well, that's not enough. I need the whole time, or we're not doing anything at all. I need like the whole 2-3 hour window. But when I have to do Moss Man, or when I have to do Skeletor, because Skeletor gets very loud
Yeah.
and vibrant, and he booms all through my home. And I always hear my wife and daughter laughing at me through the vents as I'm doing my Skeletor laugh or screaming a Skeletor or something. And yeah, the introvert in me just it's like awkward. So
Yeah.
I like to do it when they're not here as well, but sometimes I can't do that. And then I'll come down here and she's like, "Am I going to hear Skeletor today?" And I'm like, "Skeletor's going to be quiet today."
Yes.
You're going to be quieter. And you can hear that in some of the videos as well. Skeletor does sound a little bit quieter because that is literally me trying to tone him down so the whole house doesn't hear him.
Yeah. Have you ever
I hate
watched
that.
those videos where they have the cartoon Skeletor and he comes out and says something really sarcastic? It's like a 5-second reel on Instagram. Some guy does it.
No.
It's on the cartoon. But he says something really stupid, you know, like, remember kids that women shouldn't drive cars because of whatever reason or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like something that's like, should be a PSA like they used to have, but it's like in Skeletor. So it's really all, you know, rooted in evilness, right?
Yeah.
Because you could do something like that with Moss Man, probably in like, you know, 10, 15 seconds of the video and maybe, half an hour, but have Mossman do something, right? Just say something crazy, Mossman PSA, right? Or Mossman medicine woman PSA, right? Like, walk around
It-
your thumb up like this for, whatever reason.
I'm surprised he's resonated so well with people, and I know they want more. My biggest fear is like I'll get super into it, and I'll be like, just finally be at a point where I can just bang out Mossman stuff over and over and over again, and then everyone's just like, nah, man, that ain't it anymore. And I'm like, oh, this is all I know how to do now.
Nah. People
That's
don't
all
get
I
tired of
have.
Mossman as long as you're not, doing something stupid with them, several times a day, right? Like if you did, let's just say you decided to do the Dr. Quinn medicine Mossman and did
Mhm.
some PSA for healthcare that's actually completely opposite of what you should do, right? Like why this is why when you break through the toilet paper this way, walk around your thumb this way, right? Or something like that, right? Something off the wall crazy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you do that in the medicine woman thing. Like you could do like a 10-second, 15-second reel or a short on YouTube with that on Tuesdays and then put out the Mossman thing on Saturday nights at 11 o'clock or whatever. And people wouldn't get sick of it ever.
all right.
If you were
Well,
doing, crazy shit all day long every day with them, they'd be like, what the fuck, another Mossman video?
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, you're you're not wrong. Um, yeah, I can.
I'm
I'm
just saying,
looking
like those
forward to getting
Skeletor
back
things,
to it.
people
Okay.
really dig them, and if you could just do something simple like that, because then you're just, saying something random in Mossman or, do a Mossman motivational video every day. Just, something really ridiculous though. It's like you would with, Alf. If you haven't had your protein today, go find your neighbor's cat or something like that, right? I mean, just
Yeah,
random stuff.
yeah. So when I'm getting back to it, I am hoping that one, I can get faster and produce more. Um, but ideally, it just sticks. Once we open up the window, I want everything to be consistent.
Ken would listen to a Mossman motivational speech.
Boss man just comes in and goes, "Hey guys, so sometimes when you feel like giving up, like probably just think give up and then just go do the thing anyway, and just when you get home, open up a can of spicy barbecue Pringle chips, and it's gonna be all right."
Or you could say something like, guys, when you feel like giving up and the world's beating you down, it's probably just best to go sit down and have a can of Pringles barbecue chips.
Yeah. So you need a moss man. You got to shove him in the face.
Yeah.
Shove him in the camera.
I just, spinning ideas out there for you.
Yeah. Oh, I love ideas. I eat them up all day. But I have a question for you.
Fire away.
So when I'm walking my dogs a lot, I get inspired with buildings for dioramas and whatever. But there's like this wooded area. It's not anything nice. And there's these rocks, and I'm always thinking, man, this would be like a good scene for a fight with like Wolverine and Sabretooth, or maybe something with the Power Rangers or something like that. And I know you do a lot of your shots outdoors, and I'm just wondering if you're ever walking by these parts and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come back with this figure later. Or is it, no, today I'm gonna take pictures of this figure and we're gonna go find a place to do it? How does your brain work with that, with those outdoor trick
So
shots?
it's a little of both. I have my main spot that I go to. So I have a place that I got set up. It's flat. It's right by a little bit the creek that I do a lot of shots at. I have a seat there that I've made out of stone, and I have a place for my coffee cup, my backpack, and I know the whole terrain around that whole entire area. It's got a little by the creek. There's a little like pond area that's like got that glitters in the sunshine, all sorts of stuff, right? So that terrain I pretty much know, and sometimes I'm just like when I did the Kazar one the other day, for example, right? I said, okay, I'm going to take Kazar out there because I haven't taken any outdoor shots with him yet. He's a perfect figure for out in the woods. I'm just going to take him out there. And I only planned on doing the thing where he's sitting on the branch of the tree. That was all I had in my head. I took some other random shots as I posted on IG. The one day I had all those Lord of the Rings figures. I hadn't shot any of them in a while. So I said, I'll just take these guys out in the woods. Anywhere you put Lord of the Rings figures, you could probably do something decent with. And then I just happened to be walking by and looked over to cross the creek in a new area I was walking and saw the waterfall, right? I was like, damn, that works out well. That worked out perfectly. Other times I'm walking and I see something. I'm like, yep, tomorrow I'm going to go back and I'm going to bring, G.I. Joe, or I'm going to bring, Gomez or whoever I think would be great for that terrain, right? So it's a little both. A lot of times when I'm sitting here and I'm not working and I'm going to go for a walk because it's not raining, which has been horrible rain the last few weeks, but I'll just grab a couple figures. I just randomly grab them, right? I'm like, oh, I haven't shot this guy in a while, throw him in the bag. Shot this guy in a while, throw him in the bag. And then I just go. Whatever happens after that happens. I don't have a plan. I just hope for the best.
Now, I know you schedule times for your walks, but do you schedule time for your creative process stuff?
I don't schedule times for my walks. I just make sure I take a walk. It's an important thing to get out there and sit down. You got the creek, you got the trees, you talk to the universe, you talk to the trees. They tell you all sorts of fun stuff. You listen to the babbling brook and you just become very calm and very peaceful. Then the inspiration hits. So I can't say I plan for that, but I make sure I do it, right? I guess that's the way I force myself sometimes to. Even like the other day, it was so friggin' hot out. I'm like, nope, I haven't been out to the woods in a couple of days because it's rained the last 4 days. I'm going to go because it's sunny out right now. It's 85 degrees. I sat down, had a cup of coffee, was out there for about 2 hours. Everything was great. And then about noon hit, and that's when all the mosquitoes and the black flies and everything else came out, and they're swarming all over my head. And I was like, okay, you guys are hungry. I'm going to go. But like the dio stuff, I don't usually plan for that either. It's like, I'll be sitting here, I'll think of something. When I build dios, that's the problem that I have. Like people are like, why don't you build your dios modularly? Because the idea hits me and I will start a dio and I have to finish that dio to a certain point in that sitting, or else I just won't go back to it. Right. Like I better have a floor and some walls, or a floor and part of the pillar or whatever I'm doing. And it better all be glued together, ready for paint, or else I'm not going back to it.
Yeah, that's how I feel with recording Mossman stuff or recording anything. Like we're doing it all now, or it's not fucking happening.
Yep. I was that even when I used to customize, I used to do a lot of figure customization, and I was married, 25, 26 years old. Ex-wife would go to bed at 9 o'clock because she always went to bed early, and I'd grab whatever I was doing. I'd sit down until 4 a.m. because I had to have that figure completed before I went to bed, and then I go sleep for 2 hours, get up and go to work. It's like, but I had to have that figure done, so it didn't matter what time I had to stay up till. There were times that I'd start at 10 o'clock at night. She'd come down at like 6 in the morning to get ready for work, and I'd still be sitting at the kitchen table. And she'd be like, have you gone to bed yet? I'm like, no, I'm almost done. I'm going to go to bed soon. She's like, but it's 6 in the morning. I'm leaving for work. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to shower and go to work then. So.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the problem with the stop motion too, because when we first started Hella Dope, that's when I was releasing a lot of my old stop motion stuff. But that shit took hours, and I do all of it with my phone. So there's no camera that I can leave set up. I can't just leave the figure set up. And if you move that camera, man, it is all gone. It is so hard to get everything back in the correct spot.
Yeah.
Are you using your phone for stop motion as well? Or do you have a separate camera for that?
I use my phone.
Oh yeah, so you know the feeling. We got to just get the.
So I use Stop Motion Studio.
Done.
I use Stop Motion Studio, and we've done enough of them now. The few that we've done, that I can kind of figure out how many pictures we need to get 15 seconds. Right? If I was to do something longer than that, I'd have to figure out, a camera or something to use for it, because I would not be able to go that long, right, with that. But I could do 15 seconds, which is like 30, 40, maybe 50 pictures to get that out of it, right? It's still a lot of pictures. But that takes about, I think the alien one we did took about 45 minutes of just shooting posing, shooting, posing, shooting, posing, and then another 45 minutes or whatever to edit. The other one that I did with the Russian roulette, that was a little bit longer shooting and stuff, but a little bit more smaller movements because I was moving actual figures' arms with the gun and everything else. Whereas the aliens, it wasn't really a lot of detailed movements. It was just rough movement. So,
well, I mean, the alien one was pretty smooth. Are you using a clicker?
no.
Oh man, invest in a Bluetooth clicker. Because you're up on a tripod, right? And then you're just going back in and pushing a button every time?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I don't have mine sitting near me, I don't think. There is a Bluetooth just picture pushing button.
Yeah.
And
I have
really
to try
cheap,
one of those because
really cheap on Amazon.
Yep.
You could have it there to your house tomorrow. I would say it's like $15, and it'll just take the picture for you. You don't have to touch the camera, so you don't have to worry about bumping it or accidentally knocking it over.
Well, that's the one nice thing about Stop Motion Studio, though, is if you bump the camera, it shows you the last picture over top of the new pose.
Yeah.
So if you do bump it, you can kind of get it lined up. It's not perfect, but you can get it kind of lined up. But yeah, if you have to pick your phone up or something, forget it, because you're never going to get it back in the side to side and up and down position that you had, right?
No, you will never. I've learned the hard way.
Yep. I love the whole stop motion thing. I mean, like, it is so cool. I've always been fascinated with it, even back, when they were making stop motion movies and stuff back in the day with it. It was just fascinating. But
did you have stick bots?
No, Luke did though.
Okay. Yeah, no, the stick bots are amazing.
Yeah.
And that program that came with it was okay, but you're right. Stop Motion Studio is absolutely the best for it's still free, right?
Luke and his older sister, I think they had stick bots, but they also had a program on their Nintendo DS's, the little Game Boys.
Yeah.
And those two would make stop motion. I still have an old video of Luke's that was Legos that he did stop motion from. He was probably like 6 years old, maybe 5, something like that. But no, talking about your Lego stop motion. But yeah, so it's like he's been doing it for a long time, and he does a lot of funny voices for him and stuff like that. So, but it's
Lego stop motion is something I always wanted to get into because that forest fire guy. I think we might have talked about this once. But that guy did so fucking good.
Yeah.
But I just don't have anywhere to put Lego cities, and
yeah, that's the nice thing about Lego, right? They're small enough where you could build a town and leave it, not have to worry about anything, right? And if you left a Lego figure right where it was, you could kind of line your camera back up to a point, or at least if you had a camera there, you could get it lined back to start back over and just keep going. It's like that guy that did that bazooka video, Mike the Hunter. His was pretty cool because he wasn't doing stop motion. He was actually like moving the figures with his hands. He kept them out of the camera for the most part. Like he still did a good job with turning the figures kind of like you do a Moss Man where you can't see your hands, and stuff like that when you're doing it. He did a really good job. So, there's that way to do a video. If I was going to do a long movie, that's probably how I'd do one, with just moving the characters without showing my hands doing it. Because doing stop motion in a 2-hour movie, Jesus, that would take a year to do.
It would take so long.
Yeah.
So fucking long. Yeah, just doing the 10, 15 second things that I've done took hours.
Yes, it is a barrier to overcome. He's talking about not stopping in the middle of a project. So yeah, I know, and it's been an issue of mine my entire life that if I can't start and finish something on the same day, I usually won't start it, and I sometimes have to force myself, especially like when I'm going into like a big dio project, like that kitchen, right? That kitchen is made out of like nothing but garbage cardboard boxes and a couple pieces of foam.
It looks amazing.
The actual box is nothing but a printer paper box, and I just cut it up and built the kitchen out of some old garbage that I had laying around, and made the fireplace and the couch out of some foam. And it's like I started that project. I got most of it together, and then later on added the actual furniture and stuff like that. But for the most part, that kitchen was done. I started on a Saturday, probably Saturday morning, finished it a little bit before I went to the clubhouse on a Saturday night. You know, so it's like that's just how I've always done things. I work better under pressure, and I work better when I put myself under pressure.
So I know a lot of the guys in the clubhouse are always doing kind of their own projects in the background, whether that's like painting a figure or
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what the fuck all those guys do. You're always in your chair. So you don't ever dabble in a project while you're sitting through the 6 hours. Like it seems like
no.
a great time to knock something out from start to finish.
I am very capable of multitasking when I'm doing anything for a job or computer work, Excel. I can run Excel and, you know, probably cook myself dinner all at the same time without a problem. But when I'm working on a project, it's more to the point of that's my time for unloading all the stuff up here that's rattling around. So I usually like just to get hyper focused, you know, like Payne's toy sample always talk about like that play state, right? And that's how I get when I work on a dio or, you know, creating something. It's just I'm doing this and that's it, right? The world can fuck off at that point in time. I mean, I've gotten into a project. I started a dio one time. I think it was my log cabin dio. I started that on a Saturday morning, probably 6 a.m. And it was literally like 8 p.m., I think, when I realized that I hadn't eaten dinner. All I'd done is drink coffee all day long. I was just pumping the coffee down. And I was like, oh shit, I should probably eat. But I was at a point there and I could, you know, stop, and it was just detail work after that. I don't mind doing the detail work later, but that base, you know, thing has to be done, ready to go. And it's just the way it works.
What
but
about,
I get in the zone and just forget about everything else.
What about when Radnum's on late night Fridays? Are you just sitting back in your chair enjoying
Sometimes
it?
sometimes I'm tinkering,
Yeah.
but I don't get too involved in stuff because I'm trying to watch the chat and help Radnam answer questions or, you know, talk to everybody, because that group's
Sure.
small enough where we actually all really pretty much converse with each other. So
Yeah.
like on Mondays when Punk goes for 3.5 hours, I usually, you know, I might be painting a dio or painting something, or, you know, setting up a picture that I'm doing, something like that, right? But when I'm doing the clubhouse, it starts at 10 o'clock at night, so I probably, you know, it's not going to be good brain time for me anyway. So
yeah, tapped out for the day. I know the feeling.
Yeah.
I got to do everything important and responsible before most days before 4, but
yeah,
I can stretch it out sometimes to. I'm getting to about 7, 8 now, but after 8 o'clock, man, I don't want to fuck with the website. I don't want to fucking pack an order. I am tapped.
I can work through the night, no problem, because I don't sleep very much anyway, but I have to get started before that time. Once in a while, I'll get a hair up my ass and have some idea like 11 o'clock that might be something simple, and I will start it. Otherwise, if it's involved, I'll wait till the next day to start.
Yeah.
What's up, Jim? Travis looks much better tonight for some reason. And speak of the devil, we mentioned his name and he shows up. And real quick, Bud's here. Bud does some amazing paintings on the clubhouse when he's not overly done on the edibles yet. He does some amazing paintings. And Sunny Sundries showed up as well. What's happening, Sunny? And I think I saw, yep, Rolando is here too. Thanks, Rolando. So yeah, you know, it's when I'm working on something, that's just kind of my time to decompress. You know, it's just the way I do things, and I've always been that way. I mean, like people laugh when I'm whether they believe me or not. Like when I say I've been doing picture photography since I was a kid. I remember being 5 years old, and I took my Fisher Price Adventure people out into. I had this metal Jeep that was like a Tonka Jeep they fit in, and my parents had a ditch out in front of the house that flowed water, you know, after it rained. Took the Jeep out there. I had my old camera that took the 35 millimeter, not even the 35 millimeter, took the 110 film, remember the 2 little humps on it, and slid that in there. And I always took pictures outside back then because I didn't have the money to buy the flash cubes. My mom would buy me the film once in a while, but she wasn't going to buy me the flash cubes. They had to plug into the top that had, you know, 4 or 8 of the flashes on them, right? So took a lot of pictures outside. And I take them to the store, drop them off and get them developed. And that's what I spent my allowance on, was getting my film processed a week later. And it's just what I've always done. It's like that was always just been my time.
Do you have other creative outlets? I know your son is very creative. He's a writer and apparently a Lego stop motioner and social media guru, amongst other things. But is there something else that you pour yourself into?
I spend a lot of time out in nature. I occasionally write poetry and do a lot of meditation.
Meditation's hard.
Yes, it is. Once you figure it out, it's a cakewalk. But yeah, it's hard to get going and get started and then keep going with it. So
I feel like it takes away my edge.
I force myself to meditate now because I was meditating every day for about 20 to 30 minutes every day, really deep, solid meditation. And I was feeling great. And I stopped doing it because I just got too busy with everything going on. And my work schedule had changed. So it kind of threw off my whole flow. And I was not as good as I was when I was meditating, just mentally and focused and centered and everything else. I could personally feel I didn't feel that good. So
that's interesting. Because like I would do it, especially for the old day job, because man, they would get my blood boiling sometimes, and I would really, really need to find a way to come down because the brain's rushing so many ways. You got chaos at work, chaos at Hella Dope, family things to take care of. You're racing against a clock all the time, and so I would do it from time to time, but it took away my urgency. It took away the fire. And then I was a little too passive, and I didn't like that. I like to have a little anxiety and stress and chaos, not a lot, running through me, because that's the only way I'll ever get anything done.
So
well, maybe I'll try it again.
I learned that meditation in the morning works best to stop that, or right before you go to bed. Sometimes I do both, right? I'll do a longer meditation in the morning than a quick one if it's been a day or whatever, right? But yeah, if you try doing like a meditation after work or something, or right before you're going to work, trying to tell yourself that, hey, it's going to be good, right? Blah, blah, blah. You get too zen, and then you're just, then you're, like you said, you don't have that fire. If you do it first thing in the morning, like I would get up, I would literally get out of bed. I do like my gratitude meditation, which is, just a 2-minute blast of thanking the creator, or whoever you want to thank. It could be anybody that you want to thank, just for being alive, for coffee, for all the blessings in my life, whatever, right? Start the day off with gratitude. You start your day off in a positive mindset, right? Then I'd meditate for real for 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on what it was. Then I just go and do my day, right? Everything that happened with that, I'm centered, I'm focused, I'm ready to rock and roll, have my coffee, and I'm rolling, right? Have my day.
It's interesting. I think the problem is I was trying to do it in the morning when I need all that, but I haven't thought about doing it at night and using it to like decompress.
Yeah. So it's kind of like I know Jim, Mr. Largo, he kind of meditates. He doesn't consider it meditation, but he's told me before how he'll go out on his treadmill and he just walks, right? Another perfect form of meditation, just walk. Because there's actually therapeutic things that's called EMDR, right? And it's all about the eye movement. And the scientists figured out that when runners are running and walkers are walking and people are doing sports and their eyes are moving back and forth, they're not thinking about what's going on in their brain. And it's actually a form of meditation. And they actually have machines now that make you move your eyes while you're talking to your therapist. And it's called EMDR, rapid eye movement, something or other it's called. But the point is that while your eyes are moving, your brain's not thinking about all the things that you need to think about, because you're just focusing on what's ahead of you. And you also, when your eyes are moving, you lose all your inhibition. So while you're talking to a therapist, it actually helps you become more open with your therapist. And you actually end up going deeper into your brain than if you're just, slowly walking along. Like when you're walking your dog, everything's going through your brain. Come on, dog, take your piss already because I gotta, get back to the house. I gotta do this, right? But if you were to actually go out and walk, like, at a speed pace, right, where your body's working and your mind's, you know, not working because you're focusing on staying upright and you're focusing on going forward, your brain actually opens up. You go deeper into your brain, and it actually is very therapeutic. And it's a really good way of meditation without doing the, Zen meditation where you're sitting Indian style on the floor with your legs
So,
crossed.
if you explained all that, can you explain to me that why when I drive, that's when I have like all my really good ideas? Like I
Same
don't
kind
get
of
shower thoughts, I get driving
same
thoughts.
kind of thing, right? You're looking out a front window, and your eyes are
Mhm.
doing this constantly, right? Same thing. Rapid eye movement.
But my brain's not turned off. It's actually,
No, because what are you
more turned
focused on
up.
when you're driving? You're focused on what's in front of you, what's behind you. You're focused on what's on the radio. You're focused on making sure you use your turn signal. Your mind's not going, oh man, I got to go home and I got to do this. I got to do that, right? Because you're focusing on driving.
Hmm. That's interesting.
If you zone into driving, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
if you're doing a 5-second drive down the road, of course, it's not going to be that way. But if you're driving, right? It's like all that stuff is out the window, right? And that's the whole point of it. Is you're reacting on more instinct than you are actually thought processes, right? Because you can drive places now and not even realize how the fuck you got there, right? Because
Yeah.
you just drive, right? You're like, how the hell am I home already? How the hell am I working already? Or how did I get to, Taco Bell already? Whatever.
Yeah.
Like Aaron says right here, it's your brain on automatic. So,
I don't know. Best ideas come from driving. Like,
yep.
love it.
Yeah.
So many of the fun things that I've done came from something stupid
Yep.
popping into my head on the way to work.
And that's like one of the reasons when I take walks in the woods, right? I know where I'm going. So I walk the path. I don't think about anything, right? I'm just walking, seeing the trees, all that stuff, right? I'm just on autopilot and my brain's just, so by the time I usually get back to my spot and I know the figures that I have stuffed in my backpack, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this with them, right? And then it's done. That's the whole point when I tell people, take a walk and hug a tree because
Yeah.
connecting with nature is very good for the human body. People don't realize how good it is. That's why they have such a thing called earthing, where people sit on the ground or walk barefoot all the time so they can get in contact with the earth. That's why the Indians, the Native Americans, sat on the ground and walked barefoot all the time, because being in contact with nature and the earth is very good for your body. It's very good for the polarities in our body and all the blood flow and everything else. And then when you're walking through the woods and you're walking for real, not focusing on the fact that you are, needing to go home and why you're doing this, right? Because a lot of people do that. They're like, I'm going to go for a walk because I know if I go for a walk, I'm going to feel better. And that's your first mistake, right? If you go for a walk because you want to take a walk, you're going to have a better mindset when you're done. So if you want to meditate in the morning, take a walk, a brisk walk.
Walking's more realistic than me sitting in my chair.
And then you
clearing
won't
my
feel,
mind.
you don't have that. Like a lot of the problem with meditation is that with the breathing and stuff that you do in a normal meditation session, you get very relaxed, you get very centered, and you get very, zen, right? When you're walking, you're doing the same thing to your mind. You're just not getting that calmness physically because your blood's flowing. So, good way to meditate without actually doing the foo-foo stuff, as they like to call it, with the candles and the incense and
Look
everything
at
else.
you dropping education on people tonight, man. Just dropping knowledge bombs. Yeah, I
See?
need a way to do that without driving. If I can find a way to do that here at home, that
Treadmill.
would make things a lot easier.
Treadmill.
I don't have fucking anywhere to put a fucking treadmill in here.
Then you're going to have to walk around the block, Ted.
This room's full of fucking cases of Cosmic Legions and Boglins.
Okay, people
I'm
go
gonna
out and buy
die
some
in
Cosmic
here.
Legions. They're on sale right now, 20% off. And the
20%
Boglins,
off.
it's
Buy
buy
them
two,
all.
get one free.
I don't even know what we got these 4 cases left. 4 cases out of the 24 left. I need them to go. Need them to go.
Yeah, no shoe factories. You have to convince your wife to make them. That's the problem with society. We've actually lost all that touch with what our bodies actually need. And we think we need these things that are, controlling us. that we don't really need. That's why I like to go out in the woods. Once I get past the parking spot, there's no cell reception out there. So I don't.
Yeah.
I take my phone strictly for taking pictures. That's the only reason my phone's in my pocket, is so I can take pictures, because there's no service, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the only thing I use this for is helidoping, education, and pictures with the family. Like every now and then I will take 10 minutes once a week to dick around on TikTok, but I consider that research because I need to know what's trending. You know, it's research. And then when I realize I'm falling down that fucking TikTok rabbit hole, I'm like, yo, we gotta fucking
that's
get
what
away
I
from
do.
them.
That
Pull
right.
out.
I usually scroll through Instagram during my morning coffee, but it's like, I know I set myself a timer that it's 20 minutes while I'm having my coffee, and then I stop, because if I don't, it's like anybody else, right? You just fall down that rabbit hole. Next thing you know, it's been 4 hours and you're like, holy shit, I had things I had to do, right? Because everybody does it. Doom scrolling, as they call it. And I think Radnam called it that earlier, or somebody did.
Yeah.
So Briscoe has a question for you.
Yeah. Boglins eat everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. And Aaron points out something else really good, right? Like when you're on your walk, get some music that you really groove with, and take a brisk walk in the morning, even if it's, 15 minutes with your headphones on, and just focus on walking and just let your brain go.
See, my problem is I'm always, when I'm on these walks, I got the AirPods in, and I'm trying to listen to something educational about business. Like,
well, then you're trying to learn. So that's why I'm saying you got to put the music on, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, you got to set the time aside. I'm sorry that we went off topic, but this is fine.
No,
I'm
it's
okay
fine.
with this. You got to have the music that you enjoy, right? Like you said the other day, Money for Nothing is a song you put on while you're packing, right? Why do you put that song on when you're packing? Because your mind goes numb. You're listening to Money for Nothing, and you're just packing boxes. And before you know it, you got 12 boxes packed, right?
Yeah.
Your mind's on autopilot. So that's the kind of music you need to put in there. You set yourself a timer, 15 minutes. So say 15 minutes, you set a timer on your phone for 7.5 minutes. So you know to turn around and go the fuck home when you're 7.5 minutes out. Then you just walk back home and do the same thing. Good for you every day. A, you're getting physical activity, and B, you're giving your mind a break and helping your inspiration.
All my walkings with the dogs, and they're not fun to walk.
No.
So they like to go on adventures, and
walking with
like
anybody makes it difficult to have that experience, right? Like I go hiking with Luke, but there's times that I'll go hiking in the morning by myself, so I have that time, and then I know, that's 7:00 in the morning. I'll come back at 10, have breakfast, and then Luke and I will go hiking from noon till whenever, right? It's just because hiking with people doesn't give you that same thing, just like dogs, right? You always got to worry about what the dog's doing. Did you really take a dump, so we can go in the house and you can sleep through the night without dumping on my floor, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sort of like that, right? That's what happens to kids, right? We beat all that playfulness out of kids, and then they lose all that fun stuff, and then they become uninspired children, right? And it's like, why? Because we want to sit them in a classroom for 8 hours a day and just beat it out of them. And put that classroom outside. Those kids would learn 100% faster, and they'd be 100% smarter.
Mm-hmm.
So vote Kozak and Ted for president 2024. It's your best option, trust me.
I'm running for shit. That's a mouthful.
Yep, but it's correct.
All right, well, check it. I'm gonna take a walk alone tomorrow morning, just for you.
You do that, and you let me know.
Meditate.
Make sure you put in music.
I'll put in music.
Not your podcast.
I won't educate myself for 15 minutes, I guess.
I'll tell you what. If you took your walk for 15 minutes, like a brisk walk, like I said, it doesn't have to be where you're killing yourself, right? Just fast enough where your mind goes blank while you're walking. You got to get music in. When you come home, you sit down, have your cup of coffee, put your podcast in. I guarantee you have a better memory of what you just listened to and a better understanding of what you listened to than if you didn't.
Interesting. I will test that theory. Because, all I'm ever doing is consuming in a way that helps me grow, I
Exactly.
guess.
But are you consuming and retaining?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
you know,
And
this
you
is
want to know what
this
the
is a
problem with the retention is? The problem with retention is you have too much other stuff in your brain. That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. If you cleared your brain, came back home, sat down, listened to your podcast, you're going to retain that.
Part of the problem also is some of these people that think they're smart aren't very helpful sometimes. And I'm just like, ugh, do you even have a fucking point? I got to move on.
Yes, that works too.
Yeah, because I need some mental clarity because I would like to be able to write again. You know,
Mm-hmm.
before Hella Dope and before I was a grumpy old man, it was all about blogging because if
Yeah.
I wanted to, you know, make movies and stuff, and I'm like, well, if I can't put something on TV, and this is before YouTube, and now I have the power and I don't do it, I understand. But back then I was like, I need a way to get this out of me, and that's what I used blogging for. So I'd write all the time, and now I don't even feel like I can write a sentence that anybody would even give two fucks about. So,
But the
and that shit
problem
used to come to
is
me too, just like the
you
lightning.
need inspiration, right? And I don't mean inspiration like you need to see something, experience something, you know. A lot of people get really creative when something bad happens or something really good happens, right? That's just human nature. You need daily inspiration where your mind is open to actually send you those ideas, that it's stuffed back there in a corner because that story, that movie, that stop motion, whatever you wanted to make is unimportant to your conscious brain, right? Your
Mhm.
subconscious wants to give that to you, but your conscious is going, no, because I got to walk the dog, I got to take my daughter to school, work, whatever. I got to get money, I got to sell this, I got to pack this, I got to do this, I got to upload the website. All that stuff is up here, right? And the stuff that matters, that's important to your life and your mental stability is back here in your subconscious. That's why you got to get rid of that stuff, the cloud, and then go forward with it.
That's interesting because what you were saying, what you're rattling off, is literally what my brain sounds like all the time.
Yeah.
We're always swinging from one vine to another, and if we
Yeah.
don't have another vine to swing to, like my days are planned out, start to finish, for the most part, with a few 15, 20-minute
So let me get
downtime breaks.
really personal with you, okay? I'll open up
Sure.
a little bit.
Okay.
So for many years, I was very mentally ill. I had a lot of dissociative disorders and didn't really want to face life because I had a really abusive childhood. And my brain was a mess. There was literally 10,000 people living in my brain, plus all the responsibilities of going to work, being a father, taking care of my family, and a little bit of PTSD, complex PTSD, and a bunch of other things. And I was a disaster. I mean, I couldn't even, like, my ex-wife would not even go to the store with me because there was so much stimulus at the store that I would literally like freak out. And it wasn't because I was an introvert. It was just overloaded stimulus, right? She'd be like talking to me and I wouldn't even hear it because I'd just be, you know, in my brain with all the other stuff going on. And after we got divorced and I realized that I was having too many problems, that I needed to fix my life, I started learning how to meditate and all that other stuff. And since I started doing that and walking in the woods, spending a lot of time in nature and stuff, none of that happens. I want to focus on this. I focus on this. I want to go here. I go here. I am completely centered. All the cloud up front. Yes, I still tell myself, you know, hey, you got to make sure you pay your electric bill, or you got to make sure you know, go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, or whatever the case may be, right? Or you and Ted and Aaron are having a hella dope meeting today, whatever the case may be, or I got my show Tuesday night. But it's not like the whirlwind that it used to be, right? Now it's like, I know this, this, and this. I don't need a calendar. I know I got to do this time and this time. And it's just a much cleaner way, healthier way to live. Because that cloud will kill you, man.
I find
Not
that
literally,
interesting.
but you know.
One of the things I would used to say to my wife a lot, like before I quit the day job, and even with Aaron, like we'd be, you know, talking before the show or after the show. And one thing I would just always complain about is like, I just don't have any time to fucking think. I'm like, I can't solve these problems because I can't have a moment of fucking peace to think about anything. And what you're describing there makes me think that, maybe I've been going about this wrong. And I would love to be centered, but I don't want to lose the thing that drives me. That's always been a fear as well.
I fully get it, right?
Relaxed, if I'm relaxed, then I'm not going to execute, and I have
And some
to
people
execute.
function better on that higher wavelength, right? Why do you think they tell you that it's better for you to go exercise first thing in the morning if you're a gym person, right? Or a runner,
I agree
right?
with that.
Or you go out and do that in the morning,
100%.
right? Get your body flowing, get your blood flowing, get your juice flowing, but it's also because your brain, because that doesn't lose that thing, right?
Yeah,
I don't lose the motivation
you have more
anymore.
willpower in the morning, and it
Right.
depletes throughout the day.
Yeah. But you also, like you said, right? If you were to meditate in the morning, you feel very relaxed and everything, so you lose that drive. But a lot of people don't understand that meditating is just a tool. So you can meditate when you're walking. You could take your car on the highway every morning when there's no traffic for a half-hour drive and get the same thing as you would for meditating, as long as you're driving, someplace that you're not worried about where am I going, blah 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 blah, right? Or stuck in traffic where you're like, got to stop every 5 seconds. But you can get that same effect that meditation gives you.
That's wild. It's like a superpower.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be like Master Splinter, just sitting on a carpet in a sewer.
No. Some people enjoy it. Like I enjoy it because I like the feeling of peace that I get from it. Plus, when I meditate, I go really deep, and there's things in my brain that are just amazing that I can now get in contact with, as opposed to it all being stuffed back in the closet. There was probably literally, Ted, a 20-year period where I couldn't even tell you who I really was. Like I had put that real person so far down in a box and locked in a closet inside a metal case in the back of my brain that if somebody was to ask me who I was, I would tell them I was everybody but who I really was, right? I spent a lot of time, acting the way this person wanted me to act when I was around them, and being this person around them, and being this person around them, because I didn't know who I really was, because I had stuffed that person way back in my brain, because all the other stuff seemed more important and the other voices in my head were controlling everything, right? And it was just, like I said, it's chaos. You can't function on chaos. You're not going to get anything done. You're just going to spin around in circles. Yeah. And the longer you go like that, the more circles you're going to spin. Right?
Yeah.
Like I said, why do you think you can pack boxes the way you pack boxes, right? Because it's mindless. You put on the music, your mind's not thinking about what you're doing. You just know foam, wrapper, paper, tape, sticker, bada, 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 right?
Yeah.
And you probably have some really deep thoughts and some ideas come to your head when you're packing that you might not be even thinking about because you're too busy thinking about packing. But
yeah, no, packing time can be peaceful, especially when there's a lot. And I never look forward to it. I'm just like, oh, fuck this. But yeah, you're right.
My kids and my ex-wife used to laugh at me because doing the dishes was something I looked forward to every Saturday morning. I'd stand up at the sink. I'd look out the window, watch the birds, watch the deer in the field, whatever. And I would just wash the dishes. And it was the most peaceful time I had for 20 years of my life was every Saturday morning washing dishes. Because that's all I was doing was washing dishes. Mindless task. I scrubbed the cups. I scrubbed the plates. I'm moving. My eyes are going. And I'm just at peace.
And also for those in the chat, we don't lick them anymore. We hit them with that Haktua.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Ted learned that from the aliens.
Yeah, I learned that from the aliens.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to get my Aaron figure so I can do part 2 to that.
Oh, I have that. So I can't talk about it on air at the moment. I think Aaron will get mad at me, but there's something landing to the Helidope warehouse tomorrow, and I believe one of those items has your name on it. So I'm just going to ship all that stuff out together for you.
Perfect. Awesome.
If it is what Aaron says it is, Aaron's usually.
We'll talk about it afterwards and we'll confirm. But
yeah, not allowed to. I don't think there's any left anyway, so it doesn't even fucking matter. But yeah, yes. The worst part about corporate job is solving all their problems. Solving all the problems, and when
Yeah.
you offer real solutions,
That's the biggest problem, right? Is corporate jobs want you to fix all the problems, be the imaginative person that thinks outside the box, but
Mhm.
outside the box means inside their box.
Mhm.
Just outside your little cubicle, but it's still inside their box. So you're really not they don't really want a free thinker. That's just what they like to say they want.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's great for solving things on the fly and having to deal with whatever, but yeah, long term doesn't work out. I
No.
never want to do that ever again. And as Hella Dope expands, I never want to become that company. Like,
I will tell you this, your appearance, right, on Hella Dope and when I've talked to you online in our meetings and stuff has been much lighter and happier since you left that job. It's visible.
yeah, I mean, until I can't pay for anything anymore.
Right.
But
That's
it's fine. We're still
part of
fine,
life,
people.
right?
We're still okay.
You're still good.
We're still okay.
You
I
cross
still
that
got
bridge
time.
when you get there, right? And
Yeah.
you're a survivor. You know how
Yeah.
to make money. If you
I
got
do
to
know how to
go,
make
you
money.
know, start an OnlyFans, you'll start an OnlyFans, right?
I have the cutest toes. I could get away with it for so long. My wife would love to paint my toenails, man. I can make some good money. Good money. But what they don't tell you about OnlyFans is that's a whole nother business, man.
Yep.
You gotta work on fucking promoting it. You gotta come up with new ideas. What's gonna bring these fuckers in?
You want to hear something? When I was out searching for a job, I got a job offer to be an OnlyFans model agent, right?
That sounds like a bullshit job.
I was going to make about 150K a year is what
Mhm.
my salary was going to be. And I'd basically be managing like 5 to 7 models
Mhm.
and just, making sure their things were all going good and setting up appointments and all that stuff, right? So as I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking to myself, looking at like the model list they have, right? And they're all like 19, 20, 21, 23, 20. I mean, there's some older ladies, but I'm like, these are all the same age as my daughters. I cannot do this morally and ethically, consciously. I cannot let myself do this job and feel good about it when I'm done for the day, right? Even though the money is spectacular, I just could not bring myself to do it. There's just, sometimes money doesn't trump, your personal, beliefs, right? It's like
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, I didn't know that job
neither
really
did I.
existed.
I got
but
I got contacted by a recruiter for it. I couldn't believe it either. I was like, "Are you serious?"
I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like they can just pay for somebody to
Well, that's
do
it,
it.
right?
They don't
It's
have
for
to
the
think
it
about
was
it.
basically for the girls that are very popular, that
Yeah.
have, lots and lots of money coming in and they needed somebody to, so when they're not doing their shows 8 hours a day, they can go spend their millions of dollars that they're making because they're making millions of dollars a week.
Mhm.
So, yes, that's exactly it. It's a digital pimp is exactly what you'd be.
And only for 150K? Well, they're making $1 million. This
Yep.
sounds
I
like a
know.
rip
I know,
off.
right?
God. But yeah, no, I mean anything that you do to try to make money is still something that requires
Yep.
effort and hard work. Even like the YouTube.
Oh,
YouTube is
yeah.
incredibly hard, and everybody just pops onto YouTube and thinking that they can do
Oh,
it,
yeah.
and then
Well, that's the problem with
writing's
society
hard.
too, right? Is our social media has sold a dream to these people that you can just get on YouTube, do something
And go
stupid, and you'll be a
viral.
millionaire, right? And you're going to
Yeah.
be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Does it happen? Yes. Is it
Yeah.
hard? Yes. And can you sustain it? That's the question, right? Can it be sustained?
Yeah. It's the same issue with the football players, that make all that money while they're really young, and then they get injured
Yep.
and they can't play anymore, and they blew all their money on something stupid.
Oh, yeah.
You get one pop, and that's
I-
great. You got some money, but
Michael
that's
Irving
not
from
gonna
the
be there
Dallas
forever.
Cowboys, I was watching an interview with him one time, and they were talking about some of the new rules they were passing for like recruiting college kids and stuff like this. And now Michael Irving, when I was in Dallas, when I was living in Texas in the Army, and it was when he got arrested for cocaine or whatever the hell it was, and he got suspended for a few games. And he was talking to, I can't remember the other two guys he was talking to, but he said the biggest thing the NFL could do right now is that every kid coming out of college that's getting put on an NFL team, give him a personal coach or trainer or whatever that will show him how to manage his money, make sure he doesn't, because he's like, I came from the ghetto. What's the first thing I'm going to do when I haven't had money my whole life? I'm going to go buy a car, I'm going to go buy hookers, and I'm going to go buy cocaine. Right. And he said that's what every kid wants to do when they get that money, because most of these kids coming out of college never had money. That's why they're playing football. He's like, that's the best thing the NFL could ever do for somebody. Now, there are some coaches that do that for some of these kids, but not as, not as deeply as they probably need.
Yeah. But like, it just, I agree with that because I think all of us need that, but especially if you're making that kind of money.
Yep.
Like if I don't play the lottery, but if for some stupid reason I did and I did win a lot of money, that's the first thing I would want. I'm like, okay, well,
yeah. Well, they've already proven, right, that most people that win big money in the lottery end up being bankrupt within like 5 to 7 years or something like that. Some crazy statistic, because that's what they do. And then, of course, they're lending money, oh, yeah, I got money here. Go fix your house up, go whatever, right?
Yeah, I think about it a lot of how quickly I could burn through.
Oh, yeah.
10 million. Like $100,000 isn't that much. $100,000 isn't going to get me very far. Like that shit will be gone in about 12 hours. But yeah, even like 10, 20 million.
Think about it, right?
I can blow that pretty quickly.
If you're making a salary of say $65K a year, right? And if somebody was to give you, that's a bring home of roughly $55K, we'll say, after Uncle Sam takes all their money and you pay for your health care and all that stuff, right? You lose about 10, 20,000 a year. So let's say you bring home 50,000 in cash every year over the course of a year. If somebody was to give you that in a lump sum, it'd be gone like that, right?
Oh,
yeah. 2-3 months, you'd have that blown completely.
Absolutely. I've done it before.
Yep.
And like
you said, people are like, oh, I won $500,000. $500,000 is not a lot of money. And 100,000 is certainly not a lot of money. That goes fast.
My wife got an inheritance when we were really young, early 20s. I think she got like 20 grand. And I remember thinking, I'm rich. I don't have to worry about anything ever again. We got 20 grand, baby. And then I saw how we were moving through it. And I was like, I started doing the math and I was like, shit, this is going to be gone in 6 months.
Yep.
And it was gone in 5.
Yep.
The random splurge of $400 at a media play buying DVDs and CDs probably wasn't the best idea. I don't even think we even watched most of them, and they were trash. But yeah, I'll destroy some money, and
it's human nature, though, right?
Person,
you can't, it's human nature, right? You can't help it. It's like in your brain, you're going, "Oh, I have all this money," because it's a lump sum, right? But it's not. Especially if you quit work and you start paying your bills and all that stuff, right? It's like I would probably try finding a job that I could do and enjoy, and not so much of a job that I have to do, right? But I'd have to keep working, or I'd start a business that I'd probably try to do, right? But it's like, damn, it's still, and yeah, Nomad, you're right. It depends on your lifestyle and stuff, but a lot of people have a certain lifestyle, and I could sit here and tell myself that I'd be very responsible if I won $1 million right now. And you have that $1 million sitting in the bank, you're looking at it like, oh, I could go out and buy a new car and not have to worry about financing. I'm just going to go buy that, $80,000 truck that I've always wanted. And next thing you know, 80,000, 80,000, 80,000, 80,000, you're down to 200,000 left in the bank. And you're like, oh shit.
I mean, even if you're like, cool, here's $1 million. Yeah, your first thought is if you have debt, whether that was like student loan debt or credit card debt or old car payment debt, you pay that off. You buy yourself a nice vehicle. Like I would 100% go buy a fucking Jeep Wrangler.
Oh yeah,
make sure it's purple. Throw some yellow neons underneath it. Get that whole fucking front end decked out so it looks angry all the time. And then you're like, okay, cool, I'll buy a house. But how much is a fucking house now? Like you're looking at 400, 500,000 just for fucking 2-bedroom, not in the fucking hood.
Yep.
So there you go. That's most of your $1 million right there. Just car and house.
Yep.
Which
gone.
I think the house is a good investment. I'm not saying that's a
Right.
bad investment. I'm just saying that's going to take up a big chunk of it, and you're gone.
Yeah. I mean, luckily, I'm at the age now, and I drive what I drive now. That if I bought a brand new car, I could probably make it last a good 10 years, right, with the maintenance and stuff. But yeah, you're talking a car and a house. You're half your money's gone right there. You pay off all your old bills and everything else. You're probably another 100 grand gone. So you're down to 400,000. If you don't have money coming in, you're just going to blow that money because I don't have enough money to cover my mortgage. I don't have enough money to cover this. I don't have enough money to cover that. It's just gone.
This is part of the reason why I'm always afraid of us like taking a check from Hella Dope, right? Not that we've necessarily been in a position to do it in the first place,
Right.
but like I see the money flow in and out, and I see how crazy and sporadic these distributors drop shit on us. And the whole point of me working part-time is to try to find a way to get us a fucking paycheck from Hella
Right.
Dope, even if it's just paying my $100 electric bill, you know?
Yep.
Like, well, let's just start there.
Yep.
Can I get an electric bill out of Hella Dope every month? But I'm just so, like, we did really well in June. June was a very profitable month for us. But I wouldn't be like, I'd be too scared, man. Because the second I'm just like, yeah, let's just take $500 out of this, fucking toss it around. That's when something would go wrong and something would derail. 10 things would land, and then suddenly we can't afford stuff. We got to cancel pre-orders. Scares the shit out of me all the time. I'm great at managing money that's not really mine.
Yep.
Terrible at managing my
That's how I am. It's like
own money. Well, my theoretical. I don't have any.
it's easy when you don't have any.
My theoretical millions. My theoretical millions.
How do I got to budget this $20 bill? Well, there's a tank of gas. Very well done.
Yeah. A month ago, I had a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bought
Anyway.
my wife VIP concert tickets.
Yeah, right. That's the other thing. If you're by yourself and you got a good chunk of money, you're probably going to be a little bit better with it. But you got two people dipping into that, plus a kid and a couple of kids that need stuff. Forget about it. It's gone. It's like
Yeah. It is.
I mean, last year I got a nice severance check from my work because I had vacation time and shit they had to pay me. So it was like, I think I came home with like $4,000, and that was in June. I put half of it in the bank to save for PowerCon, right? Because I knew had to pay for the hotel, the trip, and everything else, right? Food and the toys I wanted. And then the other $2,000, I paid off one bill, and then that was gone. It was like, okay, well, that was great, and then it's like, hey, what do you do, right? But if it was more, it would have gone just as fast. It might have lasted an extra week or two, but it wasn't going to last. It's not like it's not big money, right? I know a guy who's 62 years old. He was working a job. He does some rental properties, and he just sold one of his rentals for like $100,000, and he decided to retire because he's got this $100,000 in the bank. And I was like, dude, that's not going to last you that long. You realize that, right? Even with your retirement coming in, because he worked like some bullshit factory job, so it's like, damn. But he's like, no, I got the $100,000 in the bank. It's going to last me forever. I was like, okay, dude, I'll see you back in the workforce in a year.
Yeah. Your partner's yelling at us. It's almost like he's playing the wrap it up timer or something like that. What are you all doing?
We're actually having a conversation. So I'm sorry if it's boring you, Travis.
Travis didn't watch this shit. He's just like, fuck that.
He's like, damn, I don't have to work tonight. I worked all day. I was at this great thing called Money in the Bank over the weekend. Fuck them guys.
Mm-hmm.
He could have popped in anytime. He has the power. Look at him. He just leaves us out here having a conversation.
Yeah, he could popped in from the hotel room. He's got a phone. He
That's
knows
right.
how to use it.
Yep. I popped in from a truck on the Route 95 that you don't know about. Come on.
Yeah. Still know where that is.
Move it or lose it, suckers. Anyway, yeah, it is almost 2 hours in, so I guess we'll wrap this up. This has definitely been quite the excellent adventure. We went from, one thing right on to the next and on to something else. So
We
what
had
better
a
way to do
wild
it?
ride.
Yeah,
I
we had a
don't
wild
know.
ride.
I don't know if anybody watching gave two shits, but I got educated, and that's all that fucking matters, you know.
Yeah. I got
Um,
educated too, so thank you.
Yeah, I had a great
Appreciate that.
time.
So everybody in the chat, thank you for tuning in and sticking it out. Hopefully you learned something too, or learned that Ed and Ted's Excellent Adventure was just a roller coaster ride of complete total nonsense that you didn't understand. Either one is fine with me because I had a good time. And I appreciate you, Ted, for coming on. And Mr. Wonderful just got home. Yeah, good excuse, Travis. I'm going to report you to HR.
Mm-hmm.
What's your wife's phone number so I can report you? Damn kids. Just have no respect. And he said, thank you.
You're welcome. Toyleet,
Eldor
gotta
says,
stick together.
good stream there, sirs. Until next time, good night and good journey. Thank you, Eldor. And Robert says, damn, I'll have to discover later. Yep, you missed it.
You missed it, Robert. You watched that Acolyte
Thanks,
show.
Joe. That's right. You watch Act Like, that's what you get.
Mm-mm.
But anyway, thank you all for showing up and sticking around. It was totally appreciated. And Ted, you got anything you want to promote before we dip out?
This Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern, this show is hella dope. Watch it. We're going to be having the figure reaction podcast gentleman on. That's Trust a Screamer and Junkie on Crafts and Builds. And it's going to be a wild show. Also, Cosmic Legions are 20% off at helladopetoys.com right now. On top of that, Aaron just loaded up a fuck ton of 1/18th pre-orders. So if you are a 1/18th scale person and you've been up our butt about not having 1/18 stuff, it's there. Go pre-order it so we can continue to have it. Just go to helladopetoys.com. Subscribe to Hella Dope Toys on YouTube. Subscribe to this channel. Leave this channel a like, okay? Tell your friends about this show.
Yeah. Tell your
Yeah.
cat, your pizza delivery guy, everybody about the Toyleet. Hella dope.
Yeah. We don't
Toyleet.
care if your friends are imaginary.
That's
Fucking
right.
tell them anyway, because maybe
Yeah.
somebody else will overhear it.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah, the 1/18th is pretty nice down at the Hella Dope stuff now. You got Joy Toy 1/18th, you got some Vitruvian hacks, and we got a really nice couple San Diego Comic-Con exclusives that might be popping up, and some other nice stuff. So check out the pre-orders. Other than that, I will be with Punk Thursday night at 9 o'clock on A Punk with Friends or Friends with Punk, something like that. I don't know the name of that show. I'll be on
Thursday
Radnom's
with a friend.
Thursday with a friend. Thank you. Friday night, check out Radnom's Craft and Chill. It usually starts somewhere around 11 to 12 Eastern time. And then Saturday night, I think we are doing the Clubhouse Saturday night at 9:45, I believe. And I think next weekend we're doing the 24-hour marathon starting Saturday morning and going all the way through Sunday morning. And then Sunday night, I'll be hanging out with you guys in the chat. Everybody have an awesome time. And remember, stay classy, San Diego.